Lita, and I'm sure you all enjoy the conversation. Today, I'm back with another entrepreneur from the continent of Africa. His name, Vincent Maposa. He is the CEO of a startup called Wetility. What is that he doing? They bring in solar power to communities in South Africa, but also businesses. So after they have secured millions in financing, they're now looking to scale access nationwide. But it wasn't always easy for Vincent. And I know what I'm talking about because I worked with him in the past. Vincent is going to take us back to the early scrappy days of utility. He's going to talk to us about their innovative business model and how they can make clean energy affordable for all. He will talk about the partnership that accelerated the work, but also making sure that they have solar solutions to empower everybody in the country. So Vincent is very motivated to switch on the light for millions and more, definitely for electrifying South Africa and the whole continent of Africa. So without further ado, let's start the conversation and please make sure that you enjoy it. Bye.
Welcome to Renewables in Action,
your unique podcast.
Do you want to understand the renewable energy sector, its trends, business models, and insights? Are you interested in learning about the challenges and opportunities, as well as how you or your business can thrive in this new world? Welcome to Renewables in Action, the show that helps you realize your potential in this industry, which is the fastest growing source of energy in the world. Here is your host, Tony, to you.
Wow. It has been a few years, but see who we have back in the room. Mr. Vincent Maposa. So, Vincent, I'm extremely excited to see you back here because we had already two conversations that was about 2 years ago. And then, like they say, so if we get a third time lucky, right? So that's what we're going to go for. So, Vincent, it's a pleasure to see you back. So, welcome back. And thank you for giving us that time. But I know I say that because I'm very familiar with you. So, we've had the pleasure to work alongside you for a couple of years, more towards the beginning, but you've done a fantastic, tremendous, journey so far. I'm not going to say too much about that because I'm sure we're going to discuss about it. But just to refresh people's mind, yeah, people that have been looking at you before at the time you were looking for funding presented to the company, but also people that may be discovering you. It may be worth just having a full introduction of who is Vincent Maposa, what is making him special, and what is that company that say utility? Utility, is it utility? So, Vincent, a quick introduction, please.
Thanks, Tony. I'm very, very happy to see you as well. I think, as I always say to our team, you're one of the first friends of the business that really gave us a platform to broadcast our message when we were a little fledgling little team, and we're really trying to drive our message home. So really appreciate the opportunity to be on your podcast again, and really excited about our future. So I've mentioned before, I'm always the cheerleader for a great team. So I'm the guy that they send out to go and have great conversations with people like you, and I'm just the guy who's really helping the team achieve certain things and driving the vision forward. But I am part of a great team of co-founders as well as leaders, and everyone in our business is technically a leader. We try to flatten our structures as much as possible. My history, as you would know, I'm an ex-management consultant. I've worked as head of strategy at a Fortune 500 company in the Africa, Middle East part of that business, and really spent a lot of time in the energy and power sector, trying to create a niche for myself as a professional, but also from a business perspective, decided to branch out and start my own business. And this is where we are today after a few years of challenges, opportunities, success, and certain regrets. But we're quite excited about the next steps of our journey.
That's excellent, Vincent, like I say. So I'm always impressed by the journey. So because I know the struggle that you've gone through. So we've talked about that, even outside work, discuss it. So definitely you're an example to follow for people. But I'm sure the journey is barely just starting for you. And I'm sure you're going to go even further. But let's talk a little bit more about, the fantastic team that you're putting together around you. Because as you said, it's all about the team. And I very, very much subscribe to that. So Utility has experienced incredible growth, right, over the past couple of years. So I was wondering whether you can maybe bring us back a little bit to the early days where you were first launching the company So what was the journey like, challenges that you faced in those initial startup phases? Because I know that many people that looking to do just what you've done, not necessarily in the same sector, not necessarily the same product, but the thought process, what you've gone through, right? So, because I know we all like to, acclaim people once they achieve amazing results, but it's good to come back a little bit on that journey. So, if you can tell us about what was the journey like, challenge you faced in those initial phases, please.
No, absolutely. I think one of the key things was we started the business just before COVID, and while we're still in the process of building our software and hardware, technologies and the prototypes, then COVID happened. So this was myself and the co-founders, Sandeep and Chifiwa, were the initial co-founders of the business, and then Ikena joined us about a year later. So it was quite nervous for us. We were, there were very nervous moments for the entire team because I had left a comfortable job in corporate to start this business, and I'd spent a lot of time prior to even registering the entity and seeking out co-founders, really thinking deeply about the value proposition. And the value proposition was hardware, software, and financing, right? And particularly targeting homeowners who we felt were significantly underserved, but ones who would be most impacted by the levels of load shedding that we're now seeing in South Africa, right? Stage 6 and stage 7, and sometimes undefined stages where it's unclear if you're going to have power at all, right? And some of the challenges was that or at least it was an opportunity initially, was capital was very hard to come by, so we had to seek capital from friends and family. So they led our friends and family around. Our co-founders contributed. We all chipped in with whatever we could add to the pot. And we also realized and were critically aware of the fact that we would need more and more capital in order for us to grow the business. So we sought out investors quite early, but there's an old adage about capital being shy and going where it feels that it is most comfortable and safe. So there were a few challenges there where our value proposition and our business model seemed to be ahead of where investors actually were, both from a risk appetite perspective and assessment of the size of the opportunity. So we're either told in most cases that the amount of capital you require is quite significant, and we just don't have the capacity to fund you going forward. And in certain cases, there were significant doubts about whether homeowners or small businesses would be comfortable paying for a system over a certain period of time. And we found that quite puzzling. It was a challenge for us because South Africa is a highly banked market. Things such as vehicle and asset finance exists, and vehicle purchases are greatly supported by financing structures. Even cell phone contracts are also supported by financing structures. But we stuck to our story. We were quite adamant that funding off our balance sheet and making sure that the customer has a one-stop shop experience is the ideal way for the journey and for us to drive the customer experience that we wanted. Because ultimately what it really is about for us, and that's our mission, is to ensure that homeowners have uninterrupted power and achieving cost savings as a result of getting a system from us. And scale is critical for us. We want to be in as many homes in Southern Africa in 10 years. We've always said that 1 million homes in 10 years is our target. And the sooner we get there, by making sure more and more customers benefit from lower cost electricity as well as uninterrupted power, the better for us and the better for our investors, the better for my team of co-founders, the better for the entire team and the whole ecosystem that has supported us.
Yeah, I think, and a number of those steps that you mentioned, I'm very, very familiar with that, because obviously we were standing alongside you and we could see how you were going through those struggles, like hearing that people were saying, yes, it's a great product, but it's not there quite yet for us. And but you find a way to go through that. That's great. So if you can explain a little bit more about the Wetility energy model, right? So I know it's all about providing clean, affordable electricity to homeowners, as you mentioned, and also some business as well in some community in South Africa. Can you explain a little bit more the model here, so that there may be some new customers that could be interesting?
Absolutely. So one of the key things is when we describe ourselves to investors and other parties, we are a solar fintech company. What does that mean from just naming convention? And what we actually do is we take a very strong position on the technology that ends up in a customer's home or small business, and we support it with the right type of financing. And what it means is we have a view on software, we have a view on hardware, and we lean more towards self-developed software and partnerships on the hardware side. But integration is critical because we believe that the customer experience and all the product features, as well as the operating of the product, has to be driven by software. So we take a view on what are our hardware partners that we can bring to our software space, where we've developed our own remote monitoring and management app known as WeX, which has received quite a bit of eminence in the South African market, because a lot of the companies that are in our space have not embarked on the journey of building their own native app that sits on the homeowner's system, but can also offer certain services that your traditional inverter-based app does not come with. And then on the financing side, we are quite innovative in terms of how we provide the customer with a system. Basically, we want the customer to pay for a solar system, which is a high capex good over a certain period of time, and make it as hassle-free as possible. And what we offer is a subscription where you can purchase a system from as little as 899 Rand per month over a minimum term of, say, 36 months. And then after 36 months, you can make a decision as a customer around whether you want to continue, whether you want to upgrade, whether you want to purchase a system outright. And that's more on the Zola product, which we're introducing into the market, which we felt was a key product to deal with what we refer to as the missing middle. So these are middle income earners who have become disenfranchised with the unavailability of power. But when you look at the solution set or the solutions that are currently available in the market, there's no one who's actually going out there to say, I will serve you, the homeowner that lives in an apartment. I will serve you, the homeowner that's currently renting an apartment from a landlord. I will serve you, the homeowner that doesn't have a space claim for 6 panels, but just wants uninterrupted power and wants to afford that. And then we look at our traditional PACE products, which we have become quite, popular for, which, are more on the, 5 kilowatts and 5 kilowatt hours and above. We managed to reduce the price of those to as low as 1,499 Rand for that type of system. But as an added benefit, because as I said, our mission is about, making sure that, homeowners experience cost savings and uninterrupted power, is adding certain bundled products such as the Plentify Hotpot, to effectively manage, the amount of energy that's used to keep water warm in the home. As you would know, geysers contribute about 60 to 70% of total consumption when it comes to electricity. So managing that is critical for a fee that's relative to how much money you actually save as a result of having the hotpot is quite nominal. And then the second bit is whenever you start looking at bundling products, you also want to make sure that the systems you install are safe. They meet certain criteria from an insurance perspective, from a regulation perspective. So adding surge control to those suite of products was also a critical thing. So, to be frank, we are a business that builds a lot of things, because we have a particular view on what type of experience the customer should have, and also take a forward-looking view on the experience that we want them to have in anticipation of what their future needs might be. So things such as the evolution within the home and the evolution in the motor vehicle space, and how you make your systems ready for that when internal combustion engines no longer become a thing and electric vehicles are more common in homes. So we take positions on that, but anything that we do is really about that mission and lowering costs, energy costs in the home, and making sure that power is uninterrupted.
No, that's great. And being positioned as a solar fintech definitely shows that you have a bright future, because who knows, maybe that platform later will sell more than solar, right? So that's probably what's going to happen in the future. But you talked about something that attracted my attention, which is the bundle. And then I've been watching you recently, and I know there is a new product to come. You call it the Beast. So what is that? Is it Mike Tyson? So
No, actually,
what is that likely?
It's a product we have developed and collaborated with Tendai Beast Mtawarira, who's a World Cup winning loosehead proc for the Springboks, and a great personality, a great businessman, and a person who's driven by certain social initiatives that allow more and more people to have access to things that they traditionally do not have. So if you follow him on social media, or make an assessment of his post-rugby career, you'll see that there's resonance between who he presents himself as, what he does now, and what Wetility actually stands for. So we collaborated on the Beast Bundle with Tendai. And the whole idea with it was, how do we deliver a product that packs as much punch as he did as a loosehead prop, one that takes into account he was the #1 loosehead prop in the world for a very long time, and usually the first man on the pitch, and a super reliable rugby player that delivered happiness and joy to so many South Africans, and I'm sure many other rugby fans, who every time he was involved in an incident on the rugby pitch, the whole world basically screamed beast. And we said, how do we deliver something for homeowners that has that same impact? And one of the key things that came from those conversations with him and the Rock Nation Sports International team that manages him post his career was the importance of bundling the product and delivering as much with very little, which was something that we had to take a step back and really think about, right? So typically what happens in our space now is people ask you to do things like add more panels, add more batteries, but without really assessing what's taking place in your home. How much power are you consuming? How much of the power from the additional panels will simply not go anywhere if you don't have enough battery capacity? So we really went into some product development ideas on add the Plentify hotpot geyser system to minimize the amount of consumption that is attributed to the geyser, and then add surge control to protect the homeowner against spikes and the things that have become common now with load shedding, the power coming on and off, and anything that's surge related. And also start to talk to other partners that can offer discounts on certain products or offer value-added products in a manner that reduces the total cost of home ownership, because that's another key thing, right? Homes, especially in this interest rate environment where interest rates are quite high, have become very expensive for people to continue to live in them. So anything that delivers that is a critical thing. So I have a personal, great relationship with Tendai. We share a lot of commonalities in our backgrounds, as well as the things that we truly believe in. So it was a very interactive process that led us to eventually launching the Beast Bundle. And we're very excited that with the uptake, it seems that missing middle that I'm referring to that remained underserved has really, latched onto the product. They're really excited about it. And even our customers who we've served previously have been driving the referrals for the Beast Bundle. And Tendai, himself, Beast, is really passionate about the product and everything that comes with it. So we're excited about it. It's also infused quite a bit of excitement in the market from our competitors as well. I've received a few congratulatory remarks from our competitors who are wondering how we managed to achieve that. Our own team is very excited about the product, and we just want to roll out as many systems as we can.
I can say for one that the Beast, definitely, even the word, attract attention. So that's congratulations, I must say. Yeah. So looking forward to see how the relationship develop, but I'm sure it's going to be great. I know you recently raised 900 million rand. Yeah. So about $48 million for new financing, which is a tremendous news. Yeah. So congratulations one more time for that.
Thank you.
So how would this investment allow you to scale the impact of the company and also expand access to renewable energy?
No, absolutely. And one of the key things that's important to mention is, the business model we're following is also very capital hungry. So this is not, it doesn't end with this announcement. It's almost like a moving target. We are always looking for more affordable capital and, larger quantums as well to drive, acquisition of customers and to make sure that as many customers are served as possible. As I said, lowering costs to customers while maintaining value is critical for us. The renewable energy market is one which is in a boom phase, and economies of scale naturally come with lower costs. And the best way to drive, the passing of those costs onto the consumer is to be a business of a significant scale, because you can bargain with your suppliers, you can make certain concessions to allow, the homeowner to ultimately benefit from that. So it's really about increasing our reach, but also lowering cost. And that's what that capital really, really drives. So we've always maintained this about our relationships with our customers. And naturally now our relationship with our investors and our relationship with our suppliers is, if there's an opportunity to save the homeowner costs, we should pursue it. And we should, spare no cost in terms of what we do in order to arrive at that point. So naturally, with any capital raise, a lot of activities that you then do upfront in order to make sure that you deploy that capital as efficiently as possible. And really, really proud of our team that stuck it out with the investors, because then we're also raising capital in a market downturn, right? For a variety of reasons, and some of them don't necessarily have to do with the lack of appetite from investors. It's just a pervasive tightening of purse strings, given the level of uncertainty and some of the turmoil that's taking place in the world. But we found the best set of investors we could have found, very sensitive to the needs of the entrepreneur in terms of the vision and what we're actually trying to do, but also very measured and very careful about the interventions that they add to the fundraising mix, because it is capital intensive. So you need a very good potpourri of different funding mechanisms for you to be able to deliver systems. So it involves equity, it involves commercial debt, it involves venture debt, it involves some grant funding, some SMME type funding, and you know of our journey with some of the accelerators that we've been involved in. And they all understand that it's critical for us to support our narrative around lower cost electricity with actual financial backing that makes that a reality for customers.
Okay, thank you for that. I noticed that the customer, it's really at the heart of your priority as a company. And I'm asking myself, so as you scale, so how do you plan on ensuring that the solar solution that you are developing remain affordable and accessible to your customer? And is there a plan to make it also accessible to underserved community that may be living without the reliable power?
Absolutely. I think that's a critical thing. So one of the things about our systems, and from a technology and from a stack perspective, is everything is upgradable. So we even the way we built our software, the way we built our hardware is such that you can upgrade systems and introduce better, more efficient systems. So that's critical. And then there's the cost curve. And at any point, you should be in a position to pass on the cost benefit to the consumer. And that's a critical thing. So when you look at the launch of the Beast Bundle would not be complete without a lower cost product. That was a critical thing for us. So how do you get to a currently underserved segment of the market, right? And the more scale we generate, the more plants we have online, and the more we're able to trade excess power, then naturally we get to the underserved communities. But that's not to say that we're not working on a product that is at the core of serving that market very, very directly. And it's important because South Africa and other parts of Southern Africa have a very high electricity access rate. But now with the levels of interruption when it comes to the supply of that electricity, we have to consistently ask ourselves questions around what are customers and what are homeowners, or what are people in general in society losing out on when they have an hour of interrupted power, right? That hour, what does it actually mean for their livelihoods? So we're definitely working on a product that will really be at the heart of the underserved communities directly and indirectly as well. As a business, we have a very clear view on diversity and inclusion. We're now a national business, and we serve every part of South Africa, right? And because we serve every part of South Africa, we're very careful about making sure that the communities we serve also contribute to to our resource set, either as permanent employees, as subcontractors, as suppliers of certain components that go into installations. So that's the way we're looking at it. It's really an ecosystem, and we are very critical and very aware, because that's where we also come from the types of investors we have engaged with. Right, we started out with enterprise and supplier development type investors. We were part of accelerators that took a view on supporting us in order for us to become the type of business that we are.
Excellent. So I noticed in your journey that you work with a number of different organizations, so including ourselves, which we're very proud of. So what role would you say people like MultiChoice, Accelerators, those different organizations played in Wetility growth? And if you were to give an advice to some energy startup, on the value of selecting quite wisely accelerator programs, so what would you say?
No, absolutely. So I think we were part of 2 accelerator programs, and those accelerator programs really propelled us. And this is what they really managed to provide us with. So we're part of the MultiChoice Africa Accelerator Program, and we're an alumni of that, and continue to support other businesses in that space. And we're part of the Climate Finance Accelerator, which is a United Kingdom government supported initiative that basically provides you, and both of them provide you with mentorship as well as access to certain resources that will cost you quite a bit of money. So it's corporate finance advice, if it's legal and technical advice, they make that available to you at no cost. And then they position you in front of investors. So both of those accelerators, led to investments coming directly to us, because they positioned us in that manner and also introduced us to a very large and wide number of very accredited and very deliberate investors. So that was an important thing. From a strategy perspective, one of the key things about strategy is you have to, say yes to the things that you say yes to, pick them and stick to them, and say no to a variety of things. From a strategy perspective, we've always positioned ourselves as a B2B2C business, which means that the partnerships with large corporates are critical and important for us to be able to roll out at the scale that we want to roll out at. And we have never shied away from engaging with corporates that are significantly larger than us, to say, look, we want to support your customers in a manner that is semblative of what you believe in as a larger corporate. And likewise, by doing so, you also support us as a business that's emerging and is also growing at a fast enough scale. Because the leadership team and our co-founders come from that background, or come from the environment where they were fairly senior in some of these corporates, they are able to hold those conversations and understand what the partner requires, and the partner is able to understand what we require. So if I mention some of the partners such as Sanlam, Telkom, MultiChoice itself, Standard Bank, which is a critical partner, there's a resonance with our strategy and what we're trying to achieve. And from those partnerships, you're able to get a variety of things, which are just not, a direct funding relationship, which can be insensitive sometimes when people don't fully embed themselves in your business and try to understand what the business model is and what the vision of the team actually is.
Okay, that's great. And I know that obviously you're a very ambitious team, and you're personally a very ambitious person, which is good. So where do you expect to be in the next 5 years in terms of customer that you serve, in terms of the ecosystem that you powered, and also advancing the renewable energy transition in South Africa?
Yeah, so I think we definitely want to be in as many homes as the capital we are able to acquire in the market can accommodate. The numbers will be the numbers. We will at every turn, provide the numbers to everyone for them to take a look at. But if you just look at the amount of capital we've raised now, then it can clearly tell you what our ambitions are over the next 6 months in terms of actual homes served. But it's more about having a touch point with every Southern African home, which is, it sounds very ambitious, but there are many ways that you can arrive at that. And I often say that the model we need to look at, which leapfrogged a variety of or at least what the leapfrogging model was, what the telcos were able to achieve. 30 years ago, you would have probably laughed at any telco CEO who told you that at some point there'll be a cell phone in every single citizen's hand, right? And I wouldn't, say that that has actually been achieved, right? Because there's a lot of poverty across Africa. But if you look at some of the African telcos, without mentioning their names, they have achieved magnificent growth and have a touch point with almost every single citizen of Africa by providing them a service. And that service goes beyond having a cell phone in their hands, which is very interesting, right? Some of these telcos have branched out and their models have evolved. They've become, payment engines and payment platforms. They provide cloud services. They provide data centers and other things. So that's ultimately what we're trying to become and trying to do as a business, is get to a point where we have a touch point with pretty much every Southern African and perhaps every African. And it's very specific that it has to be in the energy space, because that's the thing about energy. Energy is infinite, and homeowners, homes, people will always require energy to drive them forward. And if our contribution, and if you're able to look at us 5 years from now and say your touch points have increased with the number of people that you are able to impact, then for us, that will be ultimate success.
That's a very big, a big ambition, actually. So clearly, you're looking at not just South Africa, but definitely the whole of South Africa as a whole, as you say, potentially. That's what you want to achieve.
No, absolutely. I think the numbers speak for themselves, and the impact is real, right? We can never shy away from certain facts, right? Electricity access in sub-Saharan Africa is at shockingly low levels. The impact is endemic poverty, systemic issues that arise from that we can never quantify, right? What does it mean for a community to not have a powered borehole, right? What does it mean for the quality of water and so many other things? And what does it mean for diseases, life expectations, and so on and so forth? So our ambition is driven by the desire to make lives better, and by doing so, you have to look at the problem, in totality. And electricity access is quite low. South Africa, outside of South Africa, in Southern Africa, you're looking at access rates that are still significantly below 50%. And that's a problem that we're quite passionate about trying to solve. And the only way you try to solve a problem of that nature is by becoming an organization that scales quickly and addresses the problem with scale in mind. If you think about addressing it piecemeal, there's other parts of the market or that should that are allowed to do that, but we're looking at it as it's a problem that has scaled to a point where the only solution is one that is also scalable, and that's how we're thinking about it.
Excellent. So my last two questions to you. So the first one, at the beginning, you talked about creating a work culture, company culture, where obviously diversity represented, gender issues are always addressed. So how are you planning on doing that? Because I found it quite interesting to hear from you.
No, it's interesting, right? So we sort of started out without thinking about the rules too much, but thinking about the outcome. Because if you think about the rules and the outcome at the same time, you might end up doing nothing, which is a bit of a strange one, right? So the Wetility team is representative of society. Sometimes there are gaps that you cannot fill, such as in the technical areas, right, where after assessing it over multiple occasions, you actually realize that there's a sector-wide issue and a sector-wide problem, and your intervention has to be very direct and specific. How do you solve the sector-wide problem as a little micro, sort of setup of society, and how do you do that? But if I look at our team today, it's significantly gender balanced, and more so, you have more people from underprivileged backgrounds. You have more women, as well as Black professionals in the business. And then from a leadership perspective, there are certain things that we're trying to do to address just the leadership dynamic and make sure that it's more inclusive. But also it's also representative of society in general, from a mix of nationalities as well as expertise. And we're also quite, critical of ourselves whenever we enter a new market and we don't serve those communities well. And what I mean by that is, if you're entering, a market in the Northern Cape, how many people from there actually work in your business? Are you able to empower them so that the story is richer based on that? So it's something that we're deeply passionate about. We train a lot of young engineers as well. We train a lot of young technical skills. We partner with the relevant authorities and relevant organizations to make sure that that becomes a reality. So one other entity I just forgot to mention was the Innovation Hub. So you remember our history with the Innovation Hub, which is part of the Gauteng provincial government's initiative to support entrepreneurs. They have been a tremendous supporter of our business in terms of providing us with skills and certain concessionary things that allow us to continue to make sure that our teams are well balanced. We derive team members from every single bit of society. And if you look at our customer mix as well, it's also quite diverse and inclusive. So it's testament to the fact that we've built a great culture.
Yeah, and one thing definitely I would like to expand with you, maybe not in this conversation because I'm sure it's going to take another hour, is how is Wetility tapped into AI? Because I'm sure there's a lot that you guys are already doing there, but we'll save it for another conversation because I'm sure
you
can say that. So one last question for you. So coming back to you, Vincent, right? So like I say, so you and I have a long story together, and obviously may long be this relationship again. So what really motivates you and driving you to lead this company, this fantastic company, Wetility, and to provide clean energy, I would say, across Africa? That's because that's what you say. And who knows, maybe beyond. What's really driving you? What is the fire in you? Because you left a very comfortable job, I have to say. So I know that because I've done a similar journey, and it's not, it's never an easy thing to do. But what is really driving you? Because obviously you're representative of somebody who had a dream, pursued a dream, you are achieve a certain milestone, and like because I work with you, because I know this is only the beginning for you. That's by no means the end. It's just the beginning.
Yeah.
But what really is driving you, and how can we make sure we can have millions of Vincent Maposa across Africa?
Yeah, so one of the key things that really drives me is this is a sector that I know and love, and I'm deeply passionate about customer experience to a fault in certain cases, because I care about how customers experience any entity, and the energy space is an energy sector is an area that I am quite comfortable, engaging in across various platforms, and I'm really passionate about that. So we haven't solved the problem, as I said earlier, right? We haven't solved the access problem, we haven't solved the availability problem, and we haven't solved the cost of electricity problem, which is one that we need to solve. Then on the other side, you have a team that works very, very hard, and a team that's innovative, smart, adaptive, and that resonates with me from a personality perspective. But I guess because we're a part of a team, there are so many attributes that come from them that also drive me. And I'm one of those leaders that strongly believes in the power of community, the ability to engage with your team, and figuring out how you can drive value for everyone mutually. And now I'm really supported by very good investors, very good partners whose vision and our vision aligns. So I am motivated every single day to work on this dream of delivering, uninterrupted power and cost savings to as many homes as we possibly can. But very inspired as well by some of the great work that our partners do on a daily basis, some of the great work that the teams that I support actually work on. And as I've always said, I have a great set of co-founders, Inikena, Sandeep Chifiwa, who have always, supported the work that we do and continue to drive that message within our own team across every sector of society that they engage in their personal and professional capacities. So it's really about getting to a point where the problem is solved, which we don't know how long that might take. But as long as there's a problem to solve, and the problem is very clear, I will continue to be driven to make sure that we move closer and closer towards that.
Excellent. And on those nice words, Vincent, it's a little bit of a bittersweet moment for me, because I think that was a tremendous conversation that we had. And I'm sure we're going to be planning another conversation, like I said, because I want to touch upon you very regularly just to see how you're going. We're going to talk about AI, how you're embracing that, how you're going on your journey, so what stage you're at. But already it was a fantastic conversation. Very much pleased to see that you're making, like I say, stride ahead. Yeah. So going towards the goal that you've given yourself, making sure that we can solve this issue of energy access without compromising with the obviously environmental objective that we have. So thank you very much for your time. So I wish you all the best, all the luck. So congratulations on the fundraising, and look out for the beast for customers, who want to know what. Oh, one last question. So how do people get hold of you, get in touch with you, or if they want to find out more about the beast? So what should they do?
Yeah, they can go on to beast.wetility.energy or visit our main site, wetility.energy. You can follow us on TikTok first. First time I've actually had to say TikTok first before you follow us on any other platform. We are growing quite an interesting TikTok audience. So lots of very exciting
TikTok,
content.
why not X, or why TikTok in particular?
So it's interesting. Numbers don't lie, right? So
Yeah.
the TikTok numbers are very interesting for us, but it's also a young, dynamic platform that's representative of who we are. And you've always known that we're very brand led. So our brand seems to be working well in the TikTok environment. Facebook, Instagram, X, and a variety of other platforms.
I've not seen I've not seen your dancing yet, Vincent.
So look, it's very hard to dance when you're on top of a hot burning roof, but next time I get the opportunity and the roofs are a bit cooler, I'll definitely give it a try. Definitely do that.
No problem. So on those very nice notes, so thank you very much for your time, Vincent, and we continue this conversation, I'm sure, in a few months, maybe a year or two. Thank you very much for that.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tony. Really appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in and listening to this episode of Renewables in Action. I hope you learned one or two things today. If you have, please do take action. Also, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast in Spotify or Apple Podcasts or any other platform that you like. You can reach out to me, Tony T, on LinkedIn to connect, to share your feedback. I look forward to speaking with you. Until then, may the sun be with you. See you next time on the Renewables in Action podcast.